Is this number inside the cooler? Okay.
So,
There's this number in the cooler.
mm,
Okay.
no, eat now.
Okay, wait.
Hmm. Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Man of Touch, aka the Villain of Truth, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria. Please, if you are joining me, double tap your screen to show like. Please, if you're joining me, double tap your screen to show likes so we can proceed on today's conversation. If you're joining me, double tap your screen to show like. Crazy Mose, please don't be crazy. Hello, good morning. Thanks for joining. I think I had to do fix up a poll for people to have a glimpse of what we are talking about today. And I decided to continue where I stopped yesterday. Thank you for those who are joining me. We have few things to look out to in our conversations today. You're asking if I am lonely or I choose to be alone. I choose to be alone sometimes, but I'm a family guy. My family are always around me. So I'm just asking people what are their perceptions on it. Those who feel lonely and those who are lonely and those who choose to be alone. I am alone as a person. That's my own viewpoint because trust me, my families are always around me. I'm a family guy. Besides, I don't know any offer you want to give me in this world. There are people who may go in life through opportunities. I'm not a guy looking for too many things in life. Many things does not drive me at all. In fact, I don't know how to push anything in life through the expectations of through the idea of I can get motivated by money or anything. I can't be motivated by money. The only thing that motivates me is community and family. That's just the way I think. That's just my own mindset. And maybe it comes from experience of not having for a while. But I want to touch on few things basically because these subjects are kind of important. And I have seen a lot of people who tends to be lonely pretending that they are alone, not that they are lonely. There are a lot of people who come on live or who I've seen in my life who are actually lonely, but they pretend to be alone. For me, I think for anyone to have a vision in life, you have to be alone so you can craft out anything that is within your mind. For you to be able to have a dream, for you to be able to have a vision, you have to be alone. But the problem is that a lot of people are lonely and they pretend that they choose to be alone. And that's exactly the scenario or the conversations that we're having this morning, or what we'll be discussing this morning. Yesterday, I had a conversation with few people twice. I had two episodes yesterday. One of it foster around the US black community and the rest of it. I see them as an African regardless. And I believe they are due to the fact that we all share the same ancestral past. It still makes us the same in one way or the other. And then while we were having the conversation, certain individuals will troop in. And when they come in, all you begin to see is that they begin to desire attention. And when people begin to desire attention, sometimes you might say, oh, maybe they have bad morals, maybe they have bad view of life, perspective, and the rest of it. But then you begin to see how they begin to talk about issues of them not believing in love and the rest of it. And slowly the mask begins to fall off, and you start realizing that these people are actually lonely. When you try to have conversations with them, they pretend to you like they choose to be alone. It is a game people play to themselves. And I've seen a lot of people who appears to be educated who fall in the same trap. Which says I actually like it. It's peaceful. Yeah. I always love for myself, I've always choose to always be alone most times. I could be with a group of people and I can be alone. I love walking a lonely path when it comes to even walking. Sometimes I do not like moving with my crowd of family. I love in the aspect of my family, I like to be with them at home where we feel all safe. I don't like moving with my family on a journey or walking so much, except we are within certain community. But back to the conversation, what I've been able to see is that there are a lot of people who pretend they choose to be alone, but when you look at them, they actually feel lonely and they wouldn't admit it. Quit says betrayal after betrayal, you just get tired. I think there was a time I did an interview about myself and I was talking about betrayal. I spoke about certain subjects. Hmm. Why the hell would you torture yourself for no reason? I think when we look at it, we can ask ourselves a question. There's an importance of freedom. And if there's an importance of freedom, there is an importance of bondage. And sometimes life gives you a reason to put certain people in bondage. And life is also going to give you a reason for certain people to liberate themselves. I think sometimes we could have looked at certain experiments, which I see a lady does at some point where a lady, the way they tie her horse, there's a method they use in tying a horse, and then you begin to move that horse. And then there's a rope, but they are this particular horse that they've done that particular method for over and over again. And now you don't have to put a rope on the horse's neck. You just have to pretend to the horse that you are actually tying them, and then you start acting without rope on their neck, and the horse begins to follow you, not knowing that there's no rope on their neck. Humans kind of fall into such situations most times that they choose to be in certain situations. I think when I look at people, I always say there's a reason why we fall into something, and none of us are kind of heroes when it comes to the idea that we can't fall into the mindset of being trapped. Every single person can fall into it. The problem is that most of us find ourselves in such situation, and even when we are trying to liberate us from that part, it becomes more or less like impossible for us to free ourselves. And so that's why I'm asking a question like, when you use the word betray, and one of the things I discuss about when we use the word betray, I always ask people questions like, It is easy for us to say that we have betrayed people or people have betrayed us in the past, but how many times have we asked ourselves questions? How many of those people have we actually betrayed in our life? Or how many people have we truly betrayed in our life? Is there anyone on live right now that has not betrayed someone before? Lisa, good morning. I'm asking a question. Is there anyone in life that has not, anyone joining us in this live stream, is there anyone that has not betrayed anyone before? Good morning. Please, if you haven't betrayed anyone before, I would like you to tell me you haven't, because it makes it easier. Doing it repeatedly is unacceptable, though. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, sometimes a lot of us who have betrayed people in the past do not understand the impact of what we have done to that person, the impact or how long that person is going to have that mindset for what we choose to do to the person. And because we do not understand how much we have done to that particular individual, when same thing is applicable to us, then we seem to be the righteous people. And then we decide to fall and to become bitter about certain situations. And I'm not saying it is not valid for some people to become defensive, but we have to ask ourselves a question: that do we actually understand the importance of life that we exist in? And I always say this: too many of us are too many of us have chosen to be indoctrinated in the idea that we believe that we are educated. When you choose to be alone and you do not understand the importance of engaging with people and saying that I choosing to be alone is as a result of I have a vision for something. The importance of being alone is so you can have a vision or a dream for something. This is the reason why we can't all sleep and have the same dream. We have different dreams, and every single time, because in the idea of us transcending ourselves from the physical dimension, we realize that we have a path in life, and that might include the idea that we all have different dreams. And for you to be able to pursue a vision, every vision that you have in life, you need one person to believe. One person has to believe it. And you might not have everybody to believe in it, but it has to begin with you. That is, who has the vision. Creed says it was all planned. And what was it, Lisa? Said the reason I slowed down on this subject is because you said something that resonated with me. What was it? Says, okay, you explain how to properly select a man by looking at how he treats others and looking at what he shows concern about. Basically, choose better. Absolutely. There is no trick in life. Life does not really have any trick in it. Life has principle in it. Earlier in my life, as early, they said Jesus started the work of God at the age of 12. I started the work of God at the age of 6. And sorry, I might sound like crazy, but I was fascinated with the idea of principle, love, God. My environment kind of shaped me to look into that path. And I was fascinated. And the more I was trying to understand God, the more I realized like it's not the definition that people are giving. Yeah. So I realized I chose the same type of man over and over again. It is a type. Now, the problem that some of us face is that something draws our attention to certain kind of individuals, regardless of the fact that we understand that those particular individuals are not good for us. We gravitate towards it basically because I don't know, I don't like using all the psychological word. They will say trauma bond and all this kind of stuff. Something happened. It could have happened in the past, years ago, and most of these things happen subconsciously. And it has been instilled in us one way or the other. And we are not aware. Creed says it's a psychological warfare. You see, at the end of the day, to choose something else you prefer or something you would like, you have to understand what you like that actually hurts you. For you to choose what is good for you, you have to understand what you truly like that honestly hurts you. For example, there are a lot of people who knows what they consume that gives them diabetics, that gives them health challenges and the rest of it, but they are addicted. They use the word addiction to it, even though they recognize it. It's there in their eyes and they understand that whenever I take this thing, I feel this way, but I choose it instead. And the reason is simply because they need to be able to detoxify themselves from the addiction of that thing they like, not knowing that they could love something else that will give them a better experience in life. Lisa says it might have even happened in another lifetime. Creed says, I thought you only live once. It is a subject most of us cannot comprehend. My way is that everything is in circles. Everything is in circles, but we cannot comprehend everything. What I say would not change the mentality or the intelligence of everyone. So if what I would say would not change the mentality and the intelligence of everyone, or perhaps the belief of people, the best I can say is use what is given to you at the moment, use it to the best of your ability. Lisa says the spirit never dies. if we have to choose things based off our spirit, at least we understand the idea of DNA. DNA is more or less like an embedded story inside of us that can transfer into somebody else. A lot of us might have, maybe we call it great spirit or whatever, but there's a story inside of you through your DNA, and that story would speak for itself at some point in your life. Lisa says we go in and out of dimensions. Here's what I can say. If we have to test on all this idea, we cannot. In life itself, life is not based off what you can stand your foot upon. It is about what you can question. Life is not what you say, this is how it is. Because the beauty of life is that it is dynamic and it is not static, regardless of the fact that some principles remain the same. The experience of the third dimension, some principles there are static. Let me put it this way. Everything we know today and everything we believe today, it is only based off what we have gathered slowly by our society, by the economy, by your nation, by your family. All these things that you know today, a lot of us actually have belief system and things we know that this is how it works, but we don't know how we knew that is how it works. Life itself does not have any intelligence inside of it except the intelligence of life. Now you respond to stimuli. You think as a human being, which is the fallacy that a lot of human beings have in their mind. We think that we are more than every other creature on the surface of this earth. So when you talk about yourself and we talk about ourselves as people, we ignore the fact that when we talk about life, the same tree and the same flowers, everything has the same life just like us. The difference is this: we respond to stimuli. So if I take a pin and I pitch you, you respond to it. They don't respond to it so fast. So when I cut a tree, it takes a lot of time for the leaves to dry off. If I cut a human, it doesn't take long for them to die. The power of consciousness within every single thing is of different level. What this tree only knows is life. What you only know is life. The challenge you have, or the challenge we have as human beings, is the problem of the intelligence. If you think you are going through any struggle in life, let them take half of your brain off. You will be the most peaceful human being on the surface of this earth. You see, before I came live this morning, and I was walking around, and a friend of mine was telling me, like, are you having some rest? Because you can have 3, 4, 5 episodes. I'm just like, I go according to what my spirit says. He said, am I taking enough time to relax? I said, yes. I don't know if I'm relaxing enough, but what I can say is this: I understand the seasons of my life. I am in a particular season right now. There was a season in my life for over a year or 2 years, I was fighting for my community. There is a season in my life that I was wrestling to help my family. There's a season at this moment of my life that I have to touch people. There are people who communicate with me who needs to hear the words from my mouth, and out of it I know it resonates and it helps a lot of them. This is not only specifically what I say through YouTube, but a lot of people have reached out to me and I said I am in that season. I do not operate my life based off what I know just in my head. I operate my life based off the seasons of my life. When you understand the seasons of your life, it's more or less like you fulfill every purpose in your life. David always prayed this prayer, and which was very powerful to me. It says, "Teach me, Lord, to number my days." That is a very great prayer, because for you to number your days, you have to understand the seasons of your life. Majority of us only focus on the intelligence of our life, and we underestimate the seasons of our life. And when you do underestimate the season of your life, sometimes when certain season goes, you would realize that you have lost some things in the past. We are not too big. The society has so much impact a lot to our intelligence, and you see a lot of people, everything that stimulates them has to do with this. And so when you want to speak to people, you want to sound to be perfect. You don't want to sound to be foolish. You always, every of our thoughts, everything we do is we wrestle with our thoughts. There are many parts of life that does not have anything to do with our intelligence. It just has to do with, there is no plant in life that does not have a season. There is no animal in life that does not have a season. Nicholas Sense. And everything our intelligence is trying to do is to fit into a profile that it will be appreciated. And because that is what we are thinking every single time, we begin to wrestle to fit into the box. Nicholas Sensei, I will give you one more opportunity. If your conversation doesn't make any sense, I would block you. Okay. The reason why you ask the question, let me touch on your side also. The reason why you ask a question is basically because you understand in your mind is that knowledge only comes when the brain is being blunted. And you could be right in a sense that the power around maybe cannabis is to blunt the side of your sensitivity, and it opens a different receptor in your brain. And that receptor helps you to get into a different dimension. But the problem is this: the weed and the cannabis is just a substance that helps you navigate towards that receptor of your brain. The only thing is, if you are very conscious and aware, you would realize you do not need a substance to open that path. Because if you depend on a substance, then you can go beyond. Every single time, at some point, you become an addict to the weed or to the cannabis. So I understand your point where you're coming from. I do not need a weed to open that receptor side of my brain to speak from a different level. So back to what I'm saying. Back to what I'm saying. The problem of humans is that we focus so much on intelligence. See how much worry we become so worried about everything. And every time you're worried, you have anxiety, you have your stress, you have all these things going on in your head. The only thing that is being disturbed is your intelligence. Your intelligence is turning against you. Rather than it to work for you, it's turning against you. And the reason is simply because we have failed in today's society to look at the fact that we have different seasons in our life. Lisa says, so consciousness can elevate to the next dimension. This is growth. Consciousness can elevate to the next dimension. This is growth. If you shedding the hold, but if you keep repeating, then you don't elevate. Let me put it this way. Apart from the material things that humans have actually create, looking at it from the days of our ancestors till now, is there any difference? Apart from materials, apart from turning the third dimension and having tanks, having electricity, building all these physical things, what has changed about humanity? We are still the same creatures as our forefathers. Nothing changed. The same emotions they feel, you feel the same emotions. The power of consciousness is, there's a difference between awareness and there's a difference between consciousness. A lot of people do not understand the difference. Awareness is you being fully, you noticing everything you are actually doing at the moment. You only know you. Every single thought you're having, what you're saying, you can be aware of everything. Consciousness is you going beyond yourself and you moving to the next dimension. And most times I always tell people that I can navigate between awareness and consciousness. And the difference is this: when you become conscious, you can't speak to yourself. You can speak, when you speak to yourself, you speak to everything around you. You embody a lot of people. You do not see things from your own view. You see things from the view of a different dimension that is attracted to every single thing that exists around you. So when you are conscious of the fact that when you see something, you can embody what that thing actually carries. Sis Emotion says, I was wondering, how do you use a higher level of consciousness in sports? It's hard to think deeper because you are in the moment while playing. It's like standing in front of a 3-panel mirror and seeing yourself over and over again. So you are your ancestors. Absolutely. Let me go back to what Sis Emotion first of all says. It says, I was wondering, how do you use a higher level of consciousness? Consciousness is not in sports. The third dimension, playing through the third dimension, is not consciousness. You can be aware, you can leave your spirit and you enjoy the game. But you cannot use consciousness to play a sport. Because when consciousness, when you're in a conscious place, you do not understand goalposts anymore. So most especially, you're going to score yourself. It's not about you and me. In the idea of consciousness, there is no you and me. It is us. You said, oh, yes, you can. Can you explain? In the idea of consciousness, it is us. You know, most of the people who have been able to embody consciousness, and this is one thing I can say, where you're racing or sprinting, you can have an out of body experience. I'm pausing to be able to put my words in the right form so you can understand it. Just because someone is experiencing a out body experience, that is not consciousness. You see, let me give you a little bit of example for you to understand what conscious simply means. When people begin to get older and the flesh begins to fail us as time goes on, we become more conscious. You are using experience. That okay. I think we are misunderstanding the word consciousness. We are misunderstanding the word consciousness. Unfortunately, I wanted to take this subject to a different direction for us to liberate ourselves, but since it's here, we treat it where it is. Now, when you say something is conscious, if we have to use the word conscious, you are conscious in a sense, and that's why you can chat with me and we can relate. That's conscious. You're conscious of what you're doing. When a person is in a coma, that person is conscious. The person might not, they might say the person is unconscious, but the person can be conscious at the same time. That is not consciousness. Consciousness does not embody anything that has to do with only you. Whatever is your own experience is just awareness. Whatever embodies the whole thing within the environment is consciousness. I can have breath work, I can do meditation, and you might think that because I do meditative practice or their breath work and the rest of it, it makes you have a conscious spirit. You know, I've told people this at some point that in the spiritual realm, there is no professor. There is no professional in spiritual realm. And in the spiritual realm, there's nothing as identity. There is no identity in the spiritual realm. Now, let us bring back that particular thing applicable. And I say the only thing you can do in the spiritual realm is to grow. Maybe what I can put to you that might ease your mind a little bit is that there are levels to consciousness. So when I use the word there are levels to consciousness, is you might embody what is between this particular environment, and you can go in a little bit, and then you come out of it. That might be a little bit of consciousness, but consciousness goes far beyond that. our grandmothers, those old people, they become more conscious. You see the elderly people become nice to you. You see the elderly people respect and show love to people. Some of you think the elderly woman is just doing it because she loves children or because you're taking good care of her. It's because her body is failing her, and she begins to realize when your body doesn't exist and you begin to realize more that everything around you is just one. You show love to everything. In the idea that we are so unconscious, regardless of the fact that we walk, a lot of us walk, eat, play, talk to people, but we are still unconscious because everything we do is based off individuality. Individuality is not consciousness. There are most elderly people that you see. There are some elderly women that I've seen. They can close their eyes and they can tell you a lot of things. The reason is they can embody a lot of things around you. Those are the people that we call conscious people. We can say, yes, they are very conscious. So, and the point of why I'm saying this, one of the reasons why we cannot always be so conscious is basically because of our intelligence. Because two things your intelligence does for you is that it defends you, it protects you, and it gives you insight to what you actually want to do. Some people will call it ego, but it is your intelligence. So whenever we are having conversation, this is it. If you find yourself in a space of love, where there is love, maybe between you and certain individuals, you become less defensive. Lisa said it right. She says we call them oracles. You know, most times when we talk about the word ancestors, some people only think about it like those who have died before us. No, we are talking about a spirit that embodies every single one of us. What has been existing, the consciousness that have been existing between all of us for a very long time, that we most likely are not aware of. It is not just those who have died. So the problem that we're having today is that a lot of us choose to be lonely rather than for us to choose to be alone. And what we need to do as people to liberate ourselves from situations like this is to understand that in life, truly, no one is absolutely lonely. You can decide to be alone, but no one is lonely. Loneliness is a mindset. It's something that you put around yourself when you have accepted certain kind of belief that the world does not want you. You are not so important to the world. The mindset of those who feel lonely are those who have the mindset of abandonment. You can consciously make a decision to be alone. I consciously make decisions to be alone. And there's a purpose behind you being alone. There's nothing wrong about you making a decision to be alone. Let's put it this way. Maybe you have a great relationship with someone and the person breaks up with you. Something happened. The person dies. One way or the other, we get disappointed, which we will be disappointed in life. Every single person who goes into love should understand a part of betrayal in that relationship. If you understand the principles of life, do not go into a relationship thinking that there's no possibility of betrayal. Always put it there that they in fact, for the fact that I choose to love someone, If I don't betray the person will betray me. That is the fact. The problem is a lot of us always make decisions on how we betray and who is betraying. You can have someone who loves you so much and that person could die. When you went into relationship with that person, did you have agreement when you are going to die or who is going to die when? But stuffs happen. In life, there's a power of about our consciousness is that we can make some choice. But if we can choose every single thing, then we become God. Then there's no purpose for the third dimension. The reality is that we cannot have power over everything. Some things would have power and we can't control those things. Who is going to betray you in life? You absolutely don't know. In fact, if you know someone is going to betray you, you don't want to even associate yourself with that kind of person. And so when we make decisions to be alone, it is a time for us to draw the structure of our life and to align ourselves to the purpose why we are alive. To understand what is the season of our life. Even the flesh itself knows there's a season for it. It is so unfortunate that our body knows the season for it. The body knows when you're supposed to be in puberty. The body knows when you're supposed to be pregnant. The body knows when you're supposed to do certain things. And the body knows when it's supposed to die. The skin itself understands its season. Most of us humans, we do not understand the seasons of our life. And I tell you, if you do not align yourself with the seasons of your life, you will do more damage to yourself than good. Sometimes the seasons of our life comes when we need to love. Sometimes the season comes in our life when we need to get hot. All the seasons comes in our life. The reality is this. Sometimes we do contribute to the experience that we have in our life simply because we are not aware and conscious of the season of our life. I'm not going to be here for a very long time. I might be here just basically because of 20, 30, 100, 200 people. The picture shouldn't be the amount of people you impact. The picture should be, did you align yourself at the right season of your life? Most of us want to make impact so that we can be recognized by the whole world. And you see, that's when it comes to the fact that people find themselves in relationship, and rather than them to go into relationship for the love they have for that person and the affection they have with that person, based off the fact that their union is trying to build and go towards a journey for a different experience of their life, most people, rather, they become so intelligent in a sense that they propel themselves for the expectations of the society. And sometimes we see that issues come up and what happens. You hear people talk about money in relationship. The man has to have a car. If the world is not driving a car, would you want your man to drive a car? We need to have a mansion. If the world does not talk about mansion, do you know what a mansion is? Absolutely. Lisa said it. Sometimes there is a season to be alone. if you do not understand that season to be alone, that is a season of your life, even life itself tells you specifically that you have to be alone. For example, every 3 months, this apple tree, because some people might not know, this is an apple tree. About 2 weeks ago, it produced some of this apple. And few, the ones that come out, the birds eat them. And now they are coming out, they are very tiny and little. Because even the plant itself, it is not every season they have to produce fruit. There is a time for them to just be. I'm surprised Lisa is saying these things, because you're actually getting the picture. Here is how I view it. It might not be that way, but here's how I view it. In life, every time that there is a season where you have to be alone, it is basically because it is time for something to change. It is time for something to change. You have to ask yourself question, what has been your experience in the past? Life is more or less, our experiences are more or less like grace, and we are going. A lot of us think that when things are going fine in our life, we're learning. No, we ain't learning anything. When things are going fine with you, you ain't learning anything. And sometimes things might even probably look like they are going fine for you, but that is a moment when you have to look deep and take advantage of that opportunity. I will tell you, the season of my life when, let me put it this way, when I was very young, I have never spent Christmas with anyone till date. I'm in my mid-30s. I have never, since at the age of 8, when my father died, I have never spent Christmas with anyone. What do I mean? When it's Christmas and New Year, I always stay in the house. Only me. Till I got married, when I was single, when I was married, now that I have children, my children will go elsewhere. My wife will go elsewhere. Everybody, I will put myself in a room. That's how I've been living. When I was younger, those experiences for me was like, there's something important I need to do. There's something that my heart desire. And what my heart desire is something that will fulfill me at the end of the day. Our desire really matters. The problem is that sometimes we become greedy. And what do I mean by greedy? When our desire is specifically focusing on what we want just for ourselves and how we want the world to perceive us, your desire is to become greedy so the world will see you in a particular light. You ain't deceiving anyone, you're deceiving yourself. The only time you know that you truly have a desire is the desire that actually springs up inside of you, and it is to genuinely touch not just you, but the world at large. I knew during that time that there were experiences in my life that I was not happy with. I was looking at the struggle my mom was going through. I was looking at my life and I was asking, what are the most important things in my life? And I realized something, that one thing is missing in my life due to the tragedy of what happened to my dad and the rest of it. And I felt that the story, we all are here to write a story. We accept it or not. We all are here to write a story. Now, you might be the one who would end the story of your ancestors. When I tell a story, humans are always drawn to listening to story on the things that has happened in the past. So we are all attracted to stories. Our life is just a story. The experience of yesterday, the experience of 1 year ago, most of these things does not matter. It is how do we act towards all those experiences. Either they are bad or they are good. What was our actions during those time of our experience? Mine was the fact that I felt I need to write the story, and it was part of the errors of my parent. And I was to set a family right. So when it got to a particular spot in my life, I was working hard. It came at the moment of my life when it was exactly the time for me to start getting properties. When I had money, I knew that money that came into my life at that particular junction, it was for it to establish what I was actually looking for me to go towards the next season of my life. I did not joke with it. You said, that's why I was telling you I'm not alone since I have been single. I have been the most fulfilled in my life. Lisa, they can never, I repeat, they can never be a fulfillment of any human being or plant or rock, living and non-living thing that can be fulfilled being alone. It is a season. The reason for that season is for you to build something that can go to other consciousness. Even a knife that is not used is a useless knife. A knife that is not used, no matter how sharp a knife is, if it can never be used, is a useless knife. There is no fulfillment on the most sharpest knife in life that has never cut anything before. That's a fallacy. You can never be fulfilled in being single. You can experience peace. You can discover yourself. You can learn in part of your experience and become the best version of yourself. The best version of yourself is what you will be to the world, not who you are just to yourself. You can enjoy the moment. Being single, being alone is a plan for you to have vision. When God called on Abraham, God called Abraham to go away from his father's land. And he says, I will show you a land. The idea of that land is so that he can establish his people there. In every journey, Sarah kind of believed, but the only person who truly has the vision was Abraham. Sarah was part of the plan. Do you think that if God does not have a plan for Abraham to have children, What is the point of Abraham leaving his father's house just to go die in the wilderness? What is the purpose of the season of your life being alone? So you can die alone? That's not a season. That's not a purpose. That's not a fulfillment. God is a failure if the reason why he creates mankind is for a man to just be alone and die alone. The only thing that disturbs a lot of people is basically because maybe the world applaud you, maybe you have energy to do everything on your own. See, I can run, I have a lot of exercise I can do right now. I'm not a professional boxer, but I'm good. But a season comes, even a 8-year-old child is going to beat me up. You need to be aware. When you're not aware of the future and you are so much immersed in the present, you might see yourself as a god, invisible. There's energy. You don't need anyone to help you. You don't need anyone to assist you. There's a time when you have the money and you say, oh, I have everything around me. I can call the doctor to come meet me. I can call this person to come fix my fan. I can call this person. I have all the wealth with me. I can pay somebody to do this. There's a time that comes in your life. You can't even pick up the phone. If you're not aware of it, that time is coming if you choose to be alone. There is no fulfillment in that. Only disappointment. The only thing is, I know. You know, when I talk about the blacks and I talk about African and I talk about all these things, I am saying it genuinely because it's my concern. No, I did not misunderstand you. What I'm saying is this: there is a season in your life. If you take this season very well and you use the season to your advantage, yes, it will propel you to be able to select the right person for you to be able to flourish in the kind of relationship you actually want to flourish in, for what your desire, there's a desire inside of you, and in that desire, there's also a fulfillment in it. If you are not greedy, if you actually understand the vision. So I believe what you're saying is that you are fulfilled in you being alone because right now you can reflect. But I'm also putting it out to you that the idea about you being alone does not mean that you have to remain alone. You said God gave it to me fully upon me isolating myself from the relationships. Absolutely. That's why I said I understand exactly what you're saying. God wants you to discover yourself. God wants you to improve. But also understand that the season of you being alone is a season when you need to do the work. And part of the work comes in an aspect that you also have to understand that you don't have to stay alone for too long. Because sometimes we get lost in the sauce. Because I've seen people, and when I was talking, I wasn't specifically directing it to you. Because I've seen people who find themselves being alone, and the joy of being alone make them lose the season. When the next season comes from in their life for them to move forward, they just hold on to that particular being alone because it was so pleasant to them. in your community. Said, no, he gave the business to me so I can help others. We are all eating of this business in our community. Okay. I believe you're most likely would be a Christian. Um, there are things about the Sumerian tablet and the rest of it. When it comes to the idea of Muhammad, most of the Islam understand the fact that Muhammad was married, he had some wives and the rest of it. The time when the moment when the tree, for example, is not bearing fruit, it's actually replenishing itself. When a tree is not bearing fruit, it is replenishing itself. And then it produces fruit and it expects the fruit to have a seed. In the fruit that it produced, there is an importance of a seed inside. The importance of a seed is that that seed has to bear a tree also. You do not see a tree that produces fruits that can also produce a seed inside of it, and that seed is not for the purpose that it can also bear fruit. You see, you said you do have a child already. To bring business into full fruition without focus on concentration. Please know I do have a child. Yeah, bye-bye. You're going to lesson? All right. Now you gave the bigger picture. You already have a child. Thanks for not denying yourself like most people will. That's the most important thing. I was just, sometimes when I'm on live, I'm not looking at my phone, I'm just speaking. And when I speak, sometimes I take my eyes off my phone so it doesn't distract, because the eyes have a way where if it gets information, it starts interpreting it to the brain. So I understand how to use my body. So when I look at it, I was about giving a narration about the seed and the fruit. And so it was going around the subject you touched on. Now you silence me. Michelle Nogi, I have nothing to say. When the right season comes for you to find the right person to love you for whatever, and love you and your child, you have to be in the best mindset, and you have to know how to select the right person, perhaps your desire, for you to be able to move forward. Everything you've been saying initially, even a few days ago, I never even knew you had a child. It would most likely have been a different discussion. But at the same time, if you can do it on your own, everything on your own, yes. If you desire, if you understand that there's a desire, you see, some people do not understand the importance of jealousy. Everybody thinks jealousy just simply means, oh, it's a bad. No, there's nothing that is absolutely negative. Everything has its good side and everything has its bad side. When you're jealous of something, it draws your attention like, maybe I want that thing. And so if you see a couple with children, and when you see those couple, you see the love and you desire it. People may call it jealousy, but when you feel that jealousy inside of you, it means there's a desire, and in your desire, there's a fulfillment in it. If it is not greed, There's a fulfillment in it. Sometimes it is basically because we desire the perception of the world. And if we desire the perception of the world, we act differently. In fact, we serve the purpose of the devil. And when I say the devil, I'm not talking about capital letter devil, Satan, the one in the hellfire. That's not what I talk about. What I mean about devil is the ideology of portraying things that will be negative, and it's not going to be to your own advantage, and it's going to affect every other thing, that most likely you do not want to accept that part of your actions are part of the things that are shifting negativity towards not just you, but community, society at large, and in fact, it could be to the next generation. So if you have a desire that you truly believe in love, remove your ego out of the situation and say, yes, my ego has pushed me to this place, but I think at some point I would want a true person. And if I found someone who can be honest with me, I would be happy. Then that simply means what you need to do is, how do I get the person? Wow. Wow. You're absolutely doing great. You're doing well. Says on dating side, it seems I mostly match up with white men. The power of AI. Who is matching it? Artificial intelligence. Do you trust artificial intelligence? Let me ask you a question. Do you match up with a white guy, or do you love a white guy? And you have to be sincere if you want to go towards that direction. It says, on dating side, it seems I mostly match up with white men. I'm just asking, do you like white men or do you like black men? Because it depends on the application. It depends on the application. It depends on the design of the person who does it. Because I, that speak to you, I'm a software programmer. Oh no, my child is black, black, black. Oh, absolutely. So you like it black. All right. They say social media has its good side and it has its negative side. I think to me, and this is me speaking, trust me, my true me can be very ignorant. There are other levels to how I can communicate and what did I mention. But on my true self, I would say, in my experience, I do not believe in social media dating. That's the artificial intelligence dating, because they are specifically designed for certain things. They are specifically designed for certain things. Out of all of them, the one that was fair was Facebook, because Facebook was being designed so that certain people who you have missed in the past and you've been looking for them, you can actually trace them. That was the purpose behind Facebook. But all these other dating sites, nah, they are built for something else. In fact, in most of the dating sites, most of them collect money. When capitalism has something to do with emotions and love, it is business. It is business. It's not love. For you to experience true love, it doesn't have to fall under money. It has to fall with connection. And for me, the question would have been first, is there no one in the community who truly appreciates you for who you are? At least those who know you for who you are. And if they don't, the question you could ask yourself is, why don't they appreciate you? Sometimes the question is, how do you perceive me as a guy? Maybe not the one, maybe the ones who are married, who are doing well. And you ask some people and you say, who am I? How do you see me? Jesus was smart when he asked his disciples, who do they say I am and who do you think I am? I mostly ask people. I ask my wife, I ask my friends, I'm like, what are your perceptions about me? It is important because regardless of the fact that you can look to the mirror and the mirror shows you, and you take your time alone and you reflect, doesn't mean you can see the complete you, because the mirror can only show you what is in front of you. There might be something behind you that the mirror cannot show you. You say, black men aren't interested in what I'm interested in. I hope what you're interested in is not fetish. Do you think it's something that you want to communicate on offline? Or is it something you just want to talk about and you say, okay, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I'm interested in, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you also ask yourself a question. If you have to look at the environment you're in. And part of the things you can look at is, what are the relationship dynamics with the people within the community? And if there's nothing in that community that actually helps you or that you're interested in when it comes to the relationship dynamics of people there, ask yourself if you can influence. If you can't influence it, then certainly it's influencing you. Then the question is, should you be in that particular community or environment? Says, I'm too intelligent for them. I have some very good friends in my life, very good friends. And most of the good friends, I think I interviewed one at some point. My friend can speak to me fluently, but when you put him on camera, he can't speak that much. In fact, some people would say, these guys are not so intelligent and the rest of it. I don't choose people based off intelligence. I choose people based off the space of their heart. Now, I know intelligence might have something to do with people or choices, but if you specifically flow with people just based off how they are thinking, and when I talk about how they are thinking, the intelligence factor of how far can you think, then it simply means that you most likely have what we call you like more of mental stimuli. You most likely will like deeper communication, deeper conversation, deeper this and deeper that on various levels. That's not love. I'm sorry. that may not really be love. I love my country regardless of how they act, because I believe there's a chance that my people can do great. I love the blacks because I understand that we share the same ancestral past. And I understand, based off the information I have, I don't care maybe the wap, wap, wap. I don't care maybe anyone says negative things. In fact, I have a lot of friends in the diaspora that are in UK, specifically most of them in UK. And they are born, brought up in Nigeria. And when they move outside the country, they perceive themselves to be very intelligent. And when they want to speak about their motherland, they're like, people over here hack like animals and the rest of it. And I'm just like, thank you very much. I know you're a millionaire. I know you're doing great. Have a great day. And I block them off. Some of them retrace their step and they come back. And then we have good conversation. But I do not think that humans is based off just intelligence. It's about consciousness. It's about love. I prefer an environment where there's love than an environment where they are just intelligent people. I would rather be in an environment of a dumb, loving people than an intelligent, miserable people. And sometimes, what takes our happiness from us is here. We want to be so correct. Sometimes we think life is information. It's about information, dissecting information, being smart, calculating, doing. Oh, we can project the future. We can analyze all those kind of things. News, good news, CNN, BBC, going for one degree or the other and the rest of it. Nah. Sometimes I don't even see that as intelligence. It's just like a society system, and you are more or less like the engine running in the system, and you think you are enjoying your life, but you're working for the system. And you have been so programmed to think that is how life is supposed to be, simply because ever since we have been little, the only thing that they've taught us is to compete among ourselves, teaching this child this, teaching this child this, and asking themselves who is going to do better. And now we have become a society of people who do not even understand our emotions. Only what we do is competition. And that is what the intelligence does. I ain't looking for a relationship where I want to compete. I want to be in a space where I can breathe. I'm not oppressed by the intelligence of people, because no matter how intelligent people are to me, I have understand the dimension. I can go into a dimension that I can speak to you in a language you would. Institutions don't know, and that knowledge is in the universe itself. I can transcend myself, and I know how to do it. And then I begin to realize that society has a role to play, and it's interesting and it's useful. But let us know where the boundaries of society has to stop in the relations of humans. He says, no, I like gardening and botany and agriculture, and I want to learn about that. I don't want to talk about celebrities and the latest clothes. I like to learn. I cannot be around dumb people. Dumb and loving people are loving people, because you just see them play. I could see adults who play. Trust me, there are a lot of elderly people that you might look like, oh, these elders act one way, and you can just see. For me, I think this. You see, the idea about intelligence and dumb people is basically about the talk. what do they discuss? Now, they might discuss a lot of things that sounds irritating. Whatever sounds irritating to me, and I know it's not useful, fine, I understand. But what do I even mean by the word it's not useful? Just because I don't like something doesn't make that thing not to be valid. And the beautiful thing about children is you want to see children play. It doesn't mean because you want to watch children play, it doesn't mean you have to play with the children. Now, I said I love dumb, loving people. Love is the key. Are they dumb, loving people? If they truly love themselves, I don't walk around calling people dumb. Yes, I am saying they could make decisions that are not interesting or engaging to you. Most times when we call things dumb, it's simply because those things are not engaging to us. Not basically because it's dumb, because to them it is interesting. It doesn't catch our attention, so we call those things dumb. I know the place of my words. If you say, I am too intelligent, you cannot say, I am too intelligent for certain individuals, and you don't mean that they are dumb. You don't necessarily have to say certain words out of your mouth, but your point can tell those things that you don't mean, that you probably mean and you're not saying. One of my philosophy or principle to listen to people is that when people speak, I am actually paying attention to what they are not saying, but what they actually mean. SA Online P2E Gamer says that I am tired of sounding like I am crazy just because people lack knowledge or too lazy to improve and don't want to be saved. Like right now, I'm learning from you, I'm stimulated. But my battery is getting low. In a sense, it's in 20% right now. This is what I don't know. I've spoken to a lot of people regarding the idea of reaching out to few people when it comes to the idea of love. Is how it usually goes. All the intelligent men are taken. There are intelligent people that are not taken. There are so many intelligent people that are not taken. The only thing is that when it comes to love, what you have to do is sometimes you have to compromise. So compromise in what sense is that you might see some intelligent people. There are few that you might meet. They might be married. Some of them might have divorced, stuff like that, all kinds of things. It's not just one way. Because trust me, when you say things like this, sometimes looking at it from a different perspective, there's a difference when someone is not too intelligent, but the person is smart. And there's a difference when someone is like, you can't even communicate with those people because their level of vibration and thinking is kind of poor. Sometimes you can't even relate with those people. So I think this is why God designed polygamy. Maybe, maybe. I absolutely agree. Maybe, maybe. What I can do is this. My advice would be there are few individuals I might decide maybe offline. My phone number is on my about page or WhatsApp. People communicate with me every single time. So I'm always open for conversation. Perhaps it's something that concerns you at the moment. There are few people that I might say, okay, discuss with this, just and see how it goes. If it's what you're willing to try out, yes. The reason is I wouldn't believe on just going on social media because a lot of people might even pretend to look very intelligent or smart. And when you have conversations with them, zero. And some people are even yet to discover themselves on different levels. But what I can say is I know few people and I can maybe work out my way around few people and relate and connect you with them and you communicate. If it doesn't work, you cut it off. Women need to be taught something for her to see your value, sir. Can you break it a little bit? Women need to be taught something for her to see your value, sir. Uh, needs to experience enlightenment. The idea of I am within people, I would say, little thing about stuff is this. When you can experience a particular dimension of life, sometimes you need to understand that people have to grow to that level. So for me, one of the things I understand is when I look at people, I don't like people who just basically just admire. What I like to do is I may sound in a different kind of way, but one of the things that is more important is if you want the same thing that I experience, are you ready for it and why do you want it? Are you ready for it and why do you really want it? And I'm also okay to understand that just because I have something doesn't mean everyone needs to have it. Just because I have something doesn't mean everyone needs to have it. It might be a gift. And some people, they are kind of stuck in some ways and you have to give them time to grow. I love looking at people and just waiting for them to grow. I can be very, very, very patient. And understanding that my path is not everyone's path. It is also okay to understand that life itself is dynamic. Patience is great. Here's what I would say before my phone goes off. I have had a subject this morning and now I'm having another one. And so I need to charge up my phone. Miss Lisa, if there's something you're considering, it's a great thing you already have a child. That's a very beautiful thing. If perhaps you're thinking about it, there are a few things you can contact me through my WhatsApp number. It's on my page, on my YouTube page. You can go through it. You can contact me on WhatsApp, and then we can discuss further on your expectations. With that being said, Tema Osei from London. Lisa says an example is a man of thought. It's something like maybe a skill or a way of doing something that can help you and sustain you and help others beyond its presence. Did they say the way say that's flattery? It's just the duty, just like a duty of Donald Trump. So tell my so tell my Osei from London. I'm sorry, my battery is running low. Is there something you want to push out? Or are you just saying hi? One of the things I hate doing is cutting people short when they have something to say and not listening to everything they have to say. It's I had it before. What did you have before? It was from Grenada and it taught me so much. Where's Grenada? That's around Caribbean Sea and Atlantic Ocean, north of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, Caribbean Sea, north of Trinidad and Tobago. Wow. Maybe offline, if you can relate, we can discuss further on it. I would have loved to ask you what happened, why the separation or the rest, but basically because of my time. So Lisa and everyone who has joined me today, thank you all. Hope to hear from you later. I'll be speaking to you guys around today is Friday, so most likely I should be on live by 8 p.m. African time. I'll be doing that today. So please, if you want to reach out to me through my WhatsApp. You can talk to me through from my WhatsApp platform. Then we can further our conversation. With that being said, please take good care of yourself. Have a great day ahead. Hope to hear from you guys. Adios. Bye bye for now. All right.